Aaron Tuttle here for Ferguson Roof Systems. For 43 years, Ferguson Roof Systems has been protecting Oklahoma's homes and businesses with quality roofing services. Their goal was to be the most honest and dependable roofing company in the state, all while providing free services such as lifetime labor warranty and annual inspections. Well, mission accomplished with thousands of client testimonials, an A+ Better Business Bureau rating, and a 5-star rating on Google. Look, the weather gives you enough to worry about, so why worry about who to trust with your roof? Call Ferguson Roof Systems today or find out more at fergusonroofsystems.com.
Hey, we're back in action. It's about 9:39. A few minutes after 9:30. I tried to go on at 9:30. I really did. But man, there's way too much data to look at. It all comes in. It just trickles in like around 9:15. So I'm drinking out of a fire hose for like 20 minutes trying to decipher everything, decide if I got to change anything or if we've got to move stuff around or what am I thinking. So it takes a minute to get ready. But I'm glad you're here with me. We're going to talk about the latest data that has come in here, hot off the presses for our weather. Hey, Jared, I see you, man. I know what you're wanting down in Dallas. You're wanting some snow. And I think you guys will probably get a little bit, but I still think you're going to get a lot more sleet than that. We'll take a look at your forecast, though, too, here in a minute. But thanks for joining me on Rumble Live, on YouTube Live. Make sure you like the video right now. It takes 5 milliseconds to hit the like button. Just do it. Don't argue. Don't fight me. Just do it. It's for the algorithms, baby. Julie's in the house with some stars. Thank you, Julie. David also sending me some love with stars. Scott's got some stars thrown at me. Just don't throw the Chinese stars. We used to do that when we were kids. We used to have Chinese star fights. I'm sure that was not the smartest thing in the world to do, but hey, we all wanted to be ninjas. And you can't say no to a ninja. Ninjas got rules. So I just thought of that. It's funny. We used to get dressed up and everything. I had nunchucks. Man, thank you, Lisa. Yeah, we were serious. I had the Kung Fu magazines. Man, I was a hardcore wannabe ninja back in the day. Victoria's in the house. Thank you for some stars, and Montez as well. Of course, on Facebook. Thanks for joining me. And I just put the link to the new broadcast channel for you guys. You can join in. Emmanuel, thank you, sir, from Tulsa. I know you're desperate for some snow. Don't worry, you're going to get some. On both channels for Facebook, the closed group, the private group, which you can access to if you become a supporter of mine financially through Patreon, Facebook fan subscriptions, YouTube. There's a lot of other options there too. Aaron, thank you for the stars. And but on this link that you click on, it will take you to my broadcast channel. Angela, Kimber, Damon, you guys are awesome. The broadcast channel is used whenever I just want to let you know I'm going live. And that's it. I mean, that's all I really use it for, to let you know I post a new blog. So I'm not going to blow up your phone, but it does come through your Facebook Messenger. So you do have to have Messenger loaded on your phone for that to work. But I've got about 5,000 plus and growing. So make sure you join that. Get with the party. Join the community of AT's Weather and get your latest, most accurate, non-hyped forecast with all the facts, the science to back it up, and the teaching that goes along with it so you can become backyard meteorologist. Rami, thank you for the stars, and Mary as well. All right, so let's get on with it. So, of course, nothing happened out there right now, which is nice. Got a little bit of break here, 35 degrees in my backyard. And the winds are obviously very light. They're pretty much calm right now. And the winds will be picking up a little bit as we head into this next storm system coming our way. Jenny says the broadcast channel actually notified me. Yay! So good deal. That's another thing is because Facebook is a punk. And I say that with all the love in the world, Facebook. I hate you. You're a punk. But it doesn't want to always notify you when I go live, and that's frustrating. So that's the reason for that nonsense. So this is a good workaround. I think what happened was everybody's complaining to Facebook, all the content creators, and this was their workaround to let you personally notify all your followers that you're going live. That way their algorithms don't have to do it. So that's my guess. I don't have an inside scoop to that. That's just me thinking outside the box. Amy and Julie, thank you very much for the stars. Okay, so let's get on with the forecast and what's happening. Okay. So here's the latest look at the levels of the atmosphere. Here's the jet stream pattern. We're going to watch this little batch of bright colors coming off the western coastline. This is where all the lift in the atmosphere is, and it's huge, man. Now, normally when I would see this, I'd get really excited, and I think the miles might be underplaying a little bit, but there's a lot of lift here. I mean, bukus. Now the problem is it's not quite well organized, and what I mean by that, you have these little weird dips that you see. There's one across Nebraska, one across central Kansas, and one down here across the Texas Panhandle. So it's not unified. It's kind of a hot mess. And but the broad general consensus here is just a long wave, shortwave trough axis, and all the lift associated with that is along that trough axis and points to the east. All right, so this is where you start to get a lot of lift in the atmosphere, get the clouds going and the precipitation going. Sometimes you get a little bit on the back end of it if it forms well, but that is what's coming our way. This is for midnight tomorrow night, so Thursday night. And this is for Friday morning. So by Friday morning, as it kind of starts to get a little bit better organized, it goes nuts out here for this part of Arkansas, eastern Oklahoma, and then on up to the north and east from there. So it gets organized a little too late for most of Oklahoma, but it's enough to give us a little bit of a teaser, a little taste. And then it hauls off to the north and east, across the Great Lakes, causing a big mess for those folks as well. And then after that one, we've got the next one that's working on in for Sunday morning, this little batch here, and this will get a little bit better organized, and it'll zip through here for our Sunday afternoon through Monday morning, producing our next round of snow, and we'll get to that here in a minute. Okay, so let's take a look at the lift associated with that in the mid levels of the atmosphere. Where you're going to see the reds is where we're really getting some really strong lift to produce the cloud cover, and of course the precipitations. This is Thursday afternoon, so there should be clouding up for Thursday afternoon with all this. And then where you see these brighter areas here, this is where precipitation is going to try to start falling as the atmosphere moistens up. So here's a nice little pocket here in southwest Oklahoma. So for example, right around, I think it's Thursday around 8 o'clock. Now that is where this mid-level part of the atmosphere is right here, the moisture, and then this is the indication of the big strong lift. So what happens is there's a lot of dry air right here. These two lines are really separated, all right? So that's a lot of dry air it has to overcome. And what that does is it gradually moistens up the atmosphere. So that means southwest Oklahoma, because you got the great lift, you're so dry, you don't get a whole lot of precipitation out of it. That's just the first wave. So when this first wave kind of moves here into central Oklahoma, say Oklahoma City, for example, we're still suffering the same thing. We have a lot of dry air to overcome. So we might get some virga, which is kind of like sprinkles you might see that fall down from the clouds, little wispy looking clouds. They'll be dark, so you won't be able to see it very well, but it'll evaporate before hitting the ground. So that's kind of the first wave that just kind of moistens things up. And we use that first wave, we kind of waste it to do so. But have no fear, my friend, because since that energy in the upper level storm is trying to kind of organize itself overhead, even though it's at the last minute, it does produce a secondary wave here across central Oklahoma, where by this time around, we've actually started to moisten up the lower levels. So now these two lines touch one another, which means they're saturated. And so that's in the snow growth zone, which means we'll get some snow out of it. So this is a nice batch of snowfall that comes in. This is around the midnight hour, from midnight onward. So this is again Thursday night and a Friday morning. So as we go through time, nice little heavy batch right here, moving through the I-35 corridor, and it kind of intensifies a little bit. I'm really liking this outcome. This is the new data that just came in today, this afternoon, evening, and then otherwise heavy stuff out here in Arkansas for rainfall. But this is the batch of snow we're talking about for Friday morning. Zips through the eastern half of Oklahoma, and by mid-Friday morning it's gone. And then it does kind of fizzle a little bit here, but there's a lot more activity out here in Arkansas. Now where this currently lift is just going nuts here, for example, for northeast Arkansas, it's just rain. See this profile? The freezing line is in the atmosphere is right here, and this is well east of the freeze, well to the right here of this line, which means it's going to be just showers and thunderstorms. So most of that lift out here is for that, but the snow is in that secondary batch we just talked about. So that's what's going on with the lift department for precipitation. Now, what does that look like? We can put this in motion for you. Show the big picture here across the southern plains, and how the snow will move in from New Mexico and Colorado as we head into the Thursday evening time frame across the Panhandle. And then there's that snow moving through central and eastern Oklahoma, and then zips on off to the north and east. So it does clip northwest Arkansas and southwest Missouri. I'm going to go ahead and put this into the critical part that we're looking at right here. So that's really the heavy stuff is going through. So you can see the body of Arkansas doesn't get much, but the western and northwestern parts of the state does, and the Missouri, of course, quite a bit of Missouri gets the snow. And there's a little section of southeastern Kansas, but northern Kansas will also get some snow as well. So have no fear if you guys live up there and you're wanting some snow. Here's a close-up view of that as well. And I'll zip this through to the time of interest. Time again is on the clock right here to the north, or to the north, the upper part of your picture. Okay, so here we go. 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock. There you start to see the snow signals here for 1 o'clock in the morning. And you do see it's kind of a little colored here. So we are probably getting a little bit of light wintry mix. I mentioned this at noon today for our lunchtime live. That can be a little bit of drizzle, a little bit of sleet, freezing rain, something like that. That may mix in because it's so light. It's not based on a lot of lift in the atmosphere, so it's kind of just moisture that accumulates. The nudge here before we cool things completely down might indicate a couple of sleet pellets mixed in. So that's why I say a little bit of a light winter mix, but it quickly goes to snow, so it's not like we're going to have an ice storm or anything like that. The blue on the map indicates all snow, just so you know. There's 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, snowing to beat the band in Oklahoma City. Stillwater, Ponca City, Bartlesville, Tulsa. That moves off to the east from Oklahoma City around 5 and 6 o'clock in the morning. Now Tulsa's getting the heavy stuff, Muskogee, McAllister, Bartlesville, all of pretty much eastern third of Oklahoma. The exception down here across maybe far southern Oklahoma, you guys may not get a whole lot, maybe just a few flurries. Otherwise, that heavier stuff along I-40 corridor and then north from there into Missouri. And by 8 o'clock in the morning, it's pretty much gone out of the state. So this is an improvement in the outcome of the data. Now, it doesn't necessarily translate into a whole lot of snow, so don't get too excited. It just means it'll be more than a flurry. So if we just take a look at what the HER output was for this particular wave, it did have widespread 1-inch accumulations here over central Oklahoma, especially on the I-40 corridor. Lighter amounts as you travel south a little bit. And this kind of jives with the forecast I've had for the last couple of days. And I was just taking a good guess because remember I told you snowfall forecasts aren't that great beyond 2 days. And so that was kind of in my thought. And that still looks like it's going to pan out with the heavier stuff across the eastern third of the state, where it looks like you got some pockets here of 2, maybe 3 inches of snow. And that might even include Tulsa. It's going to be a close call right in this little zone here from Tulsa southward, because that's where that energy really starts to crank up and the atmosphere starts to produce a little bit better. So that's the good news there. If you want some snow, eastern Oklahoma is the place to go compared to the rest of the state. Now, this is just the first round. Up here in Kansas, like I told you, you guys are getting some snow too. Not nearly as much as you got on the last time around, so some of you might be happy about that, but 1 to 2, 3, 4 inches as you go from central to northern Kansas on into the southeastern and southern Nebraska. Okay, let's take a look at temperatures. So how's everything going to play out? Now, it's just pretty decent today. We rebounded pretty nice, but let me go into, let's back this up. Let's go to Thursday afternoon. So we're going to be in the 50s again tomorrow. Widespread, maybe some 60s down along the south. Pretty decent. And of course, the cloud cover will come in and kind of put the kibosh on the warm up. But the cold air is going to be hauling. So here's midnight hour, hard blue line in the sand. So this is your cold front. Stretches from Ponca City down to Enid to Childress to Lubbock. And so this is the cold front that's coming our way for the first of many waves that will come through here in reinforcing shots. And it zips on through the state pretty quickly. So by Friday morning, again, it's through most of Oklahoma. And temperatures, you will notice Friday morning at 6 a.m., that's 20 degrees here in Oklahoma City. 16 in Enid, northwest Oklahoma, into the teens. So it'll be a very cold start to our Friday. And as far as warm-up goes, I don't anticipate a great warm-up. Just a few degrees by lunchtime. So 26 here in Oklahoma City. It looks like the lower 20s in northeast Oklahoma. And we may hit freezing. May. I doubt this. I'm going to say no. I'm going to say we top out at like 30. We'll see. Southwest Oklahoma has a chance to get a few degrees warmer. You guys didn't have any snow really down there, measurable. The rest of the snow down here also helps keep temperatures a little cooler for our Friday. And then, actually, let me stop there because I think I wanted to show you this. Yeah, this is the wind chill for Friday morning. Just to let you know, it's going to be brutal. So right about 4 degrees is what it's going to feel like. And you may be saying, well, what does that even mean? What's this feel like? What's this wind chill everybody's talking about? What is this nonsense? Why don't we just stick with temperatures? You can stick with temperatures. So what happens is the Weather Service decided, well, what would have happened if you were to hang outside naked? Yes, somebody sat around and said, let's put some naked people outside when it's 20 degrees and the wind's blowing. What happens to you? Well, they decided that there is this perceived temperature with that when you factor in evaporation of moisture from your skin. And so what happens is it's no longer 20 degrees on your skin when you're out there naked. So it feels more like 4 degrees because the evaporative cooling effect from the wind, unprotected skin, causes that surface temperature of your skin to be 4 degrees. So the idea is it feels like 4 degrees. So even though the actual air temperature isn't 4, it'll feel like it if you're out there buck naked. So I would suggest you dress in layers for Friday morning. You don't want frostbite in any of your places. And that would happen probably in Kansas and far northwest Oklahoma if you're outdoors for too long of a period of time. But anyway, I don't think anybody's going to do that, but just letting you know. is going to be cold and windy, and wind chill values pretty nice on Friday in the morning. They will rebound a little bit for the midday because we're going to warm up a little bit, and then by the afternoon, not nearly as bad, with the exception of northeast Oklahoma. All right, now that's just a teaser. So Friday is just for fun. I'll get back to that here in a minute. Let's talk about the big picture. So nothing has changed. So if you watch the animation from the Arctic air mass up here in Canada, we have minus 30s, minus 40s, minus 50s. It is still spilling right down here to the southern plains. And eventually it covers pretty much the entire U.S. with the exception of Florida. And maybe it'll eventually go through most of Florida, at least what's left of it. But regardless, you can see how these numbers in the negatives reach all the way down to Oklahoma. And these aren't wind chills, these are actual air temperatures. So this is a really nice setup for what we get at some of our coldest air of the winter season. All right, so let's zip on through to Saturday, because Saturday's the next big wave. All right, you can see the wave has already come in. You could probably make it out. Here's your question. Can you guess where the cold front is? Look for a little bit. What do you see? Would you, this is Arctic air, we're talking about the secondary wave, would you maybe sneak it in something like this? And why would you say that? Why would you pick this spot, right? Well, because we were already in the 20s. This is old modified air. And we are dropping quickly into the teens and single digits. So that would be your cutoff of where the Arctic air is coming in. And I could show you the dew point map, which would coincide with this. But we've done that before in our prior lives. But let's just move on to the actual temperatures. For noontime, into the teens. And by afternoon, teens and single digits. And there'll be some 20s still down south. So when I mentioned earlier that Saturday was going to be a rude awakening for many, there it is. Now, of course, you factor in the wind on this. And wind chill value is going to be pretty nasty. Let me do this. Actually, I'll tell you what, let me play this through, and then we'll go back to wind chills. That way you get a feeling of what it's like on both ends. How about that? All right. So we'll just show you Saturday. Okay, so there's evening hours. Let's go into Sunday. So Sunday morning, we're back into the single digits for lows. Might even be below zero up here in far northeast Oklahoma. So head into the noontime hour. We've rebounded to nowhere. We're still in single digits, still cold down south, still cold up north. By afternoon, we're now dipping back below zero here around the Enid area for Sunday. So Sunday is colder than Saturday. And then on Monday morning, we're going to dip down to about minus 10 here in Oklahoma City, Bartlesville, Ponca City, Enid, pretty much all the same. High pressure settles in, pretty brutal. And then we're going to rebound you a little bit into the afternoon. Model data is not going out farther than this at this point, but that's okay. We've got a rebound here for you into this lower single digits. So Monday's brutal too. Of course, we have some snow to talk about. So let's talk about the wind chill, because that's also the big story within this as well over the weekend. Not that the cold temperatures wasn't bad enough, right? So does that feel like if you're out there running around naked, so make sure you dress in layers. But we're looking at wind chill values on Saturday into the negative numbers across the northern half of the state during the day. All right, and of course that gets colder at night. Now the winds will die off by Sunday morning. Then they'll pick back up during the day on Sunday a little bit. So we'll have wind chill values into the negative teens, and there might still be some negative 20 sneaking there for brief periods of time during the day, but that may kick in more into the Sunday night, Monday morning time frame, where we've got wind chill values here in the negative 25 to 30 degrees, 31 degrees, there you go, Fahrenheit. That's nasty, folks. We don't get that kind of stuff that often. So embrace it. You know, go out there, breathe it in for a minute, feel what it's like to live in Canada, and be thankful that you live in Oklahoma. That would be my suggestion. Okay, so now let's talk about snowfall. We've got to talk about the next system, right? I will tell you this, the European model, which has its ensembles that we look at, all of them, every 51 of them, all says snow. So European is about as excited as it could ever be. Now it starts to decide how much snow does it want to produce. Now some of the runs here say there's 7 inches, 6 inches, 5 inches, 4 inches, 6 inches. There's a few heavy runs, 6.5, but a lot of them are also in the dusting to 1 to 2. So they kind of all average out to about 3 inches. So this is a conservative mean snowfall total here, just for a point forecast for Oklahoma City. But what does that look like if you look at a bigger map? So let's take a look at that. All right, so let me move this back here into Oklahoma. Okay, so we're going to look at the 12Z run, and then I'm going to look at the icon. But believe it or not, I really like the icon model. German model's been doing really good so far at nailing a lot of these things, including the cold air, before any other model did, including the European. So it actually has a leg up on the euro, which I'm surprised. I'm impressed. So anyways, let's go to Sunday. So there's noon. So you're wondering, okay, when's the next round of snow start? Well, it starts around lunchtime out here in northwest Oklahoma, the Panhandle. And you see some heavy snow where you get the darker blues. All right, that's 3 o'clock in the afternoon. There's 4. So pretty much all along the I-40 corridor points to north, getting some good heavy snow through 6 o'clock. Light snow down south. So yes, in southern Oklahoma, you will get a little bit of snow with this system as well. There's 9 o'clock. There's midnight. And then there's 3 o'clock in the morning. There's 6 a.m. And that first wave moves on by. Now, depending on what happens with the upper level flow at 500, there's another little short wave, or a little disturbance that swings through. And so that's probably going to cause some flurries here for late Monday and Tuesday. I talked about that in my live yesterday, looking at the model data. And it still looks like a pretty saturated profile here in the atmosphere. So we'll definitely get at least some light dusting of snow out of it. Won't be anything too heavy, but the signal is there for Monday evening. And then by, looks like midnight, most of it's already out of here. So it's a quick moving little deal. You could call that almost a clipper system if we lived in the Northeast. All right, so that's how that is going to play out as far as the snow goes. Now, you guys in Dallas, I talked to you last night about your sleet situation. Let's see if that's changed any. So let me go here. Sunday night is when we started looking at that. So here's Sunday at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. There's your mixed bag of ice, probably a little bit of sleet and freezing rain down here. Let's see what the temperature profile looks like. Yeah, freezing rain. Yeah, it's a pretty good warm nose. So down here in central Texas, you're going to get a little bit of freezing rain in here. On the north side of it, though, for you guys in Dallas, it should be mostly sleet. So by 9 o'clock on Sunday, click the forecast sounding, and you're right on the line here. So it still says freezing rain and drizzle at the beginning. If I were to fast forward this by about 3 hours, still sees freezing rain and drizzle, but there's not a lot of lift, that's why. It took a lot of your lift away. All right, so if it takes your lift away, you don't have much to work with, so you end up left with this drizzle and light freezing rain type. It's a travel nuisance. It won't be a power outage problem. It's too light of accumulation. But if things continue to increase in moisture content, you eventually get something heavier. So let's see. Here's 3 o'clock in the morning. You still have that signal out here. Let's see what it looks like. Miles are having a tough time. Here's a little nose of warm air right here. It says snow. It'll be sleet. So you will get some sleet still mixed in, looks like. The model's just having a tough time deciding what to do for you. And then eventually changes you back to snow a little bit by Monday morning. So you're going to have a nice little winter mix basically down in Dallas-Fort Worth. So you will get a mixture of all three. A little bit of light freezing drizzle, very, very light freezing rain, then some sleet, and then some snow. So you'll have a nice winter storm here in North Texas for Sunday night through, was this by Monday morning. And then it kind of wraps up and moves off to the east. After that, nothing looks like coming your way. And of course, this will continue down to Texas. Looks like the line, maybe Bryan College Station there, as far as the freezing rain line goes down there for Texas. All right, we're talking about amounts. We can do that for the ice accumulation down there. We'll do that, and then we're going to zip back into Oklahoma and show you what it looks like for us. So sleet and freezing rain combination, 1/4 to almost maybe 4/10 of an inch. So that might cause some brief power issues down here across southeast Texas, south of Tyler, and east of Waco, assuming that this is mostly freezing rain and not a lot of sleet mixed in. Whereas here in Dallas, again, it's going to be enough to cause roadway problems, but that's not enough to cause power outages. Now, the cold itself, because of the ERCOT or whatever you guys pronounce your power grid stations down there, you might be in trouble just because of that. It won't necessarily be because of heavy weight of ice accumulations. When you look at snow, you can see you do get some snow output here in North Texas, anywhere from a dusting to a couple of inches on top of the rest of the sleet and everything else that happens. So that's not bad for you guys. Beggars can't be choosers. When I lived in Dallas, all those years growing up, man, we begged to have snow. Whatever it was, we'd call it a blizzard. I didn't care if it was a flake of snow, it was a blizzard to us. All right, so let's see what the European does. So watch here for the snowfall accumulations in Oklahoma for Sunday afternoon. Look how quickly they add up. 6 inches in Liberal, Kansas, 7, 8. We're going through a midnight hour, and we're going to 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the morning on Monday. Look at that. Nice, heavy round of snow. My goodness. Now you're probably saying, why are we getting so much heavy snow out of this deal? Well, because we have a snow ratio about 15 to 1. So this is going to be 15 to 1 is actually the one coming in for Thursday night, Friday morning. That's why we can get a pretty decent inch to maybe 2 across central to eastern Oklahoma with very little precipitation. This go around, same idea. It won't take much in the way of precipitation with a snow ratio of about 25 to 1. This will be very light, airy, fluffy snow. You won't be able to build a snowball. You won't build a snowman or pack a snowball very easily with it. But it will accumulate quite a bit, and it's going to stick around. This goes through, let's see, so we'll stop it here at Tuesday. So that's actually pretty significant. Now, the caveat is, what is today? It's the 10th. Are we 48 hours beyond my cutoff for accurate snowfall forecast? Yes, we are. But this is the trend, and it hasn't changed much, and I have no problem with it. So Southwest Oklahoma, again, not a whole lot of action with this next system as well. Okay, so those are the couple things we want to talk about. We talked about the cold air, snowfall accumulation maps. You know what? Let me look at the icon. It just came in. I'm just curious what it's doing, and we'll see if it's any different. So again, I always like the Euro during the winter times. I'm just curious what the icon does. So it shifts it more to the east. Looks like the upper storm track is more to the east. Therefore, the gradient kicks off, out here kind of northwest, southeast, with the heavy stuff that we would still see with that outcome, but over now over east Oklahoma. And of course, Arkansas. If you guys are watching in Arkansas, we get snow? Yes, you are. And then, of course, it trails back to the west. So this is actually kind of an older forecast before the Euro came in and just went gangbusters with it. So this was actually the way it had gone before. The Euro's new, bringing it elsewhere. Of course, I'm a snow lover, so I do like the Euro. So we'll see what happens. Like I said, we've got some time to figure out which trend is going to hold. Is it going to go back to this trend, the Euro? Is everybody going to follow the Euro and go more widespread to the west? That we shall wait and see. All right, temperatures. Let's get on with that here for you. For what it's worth, because again, as I've warned you for, last week, everything in the extended is garbage, and they have a hard time keeping, tabs of what's really going to happen in the short term. So for Friday, your high is at midnight, and then it falls throughout the day, and we spend, the day obviously on Friday, mostly in the 20s. On Saturday, if this happens, it would have to happen at midnight, so that's garbage. Otherwise, we're in the teens, like we mentioned, and some folks in the single digits. And on Sunday, a lot of folks will be in the single digits all day. And then, of course, on Monday, because of that, we're looking at temperatures probably at nighttime below zero for many folks. Same thing for Tuesday. Tuesday probably our coldest morning. This says -4, but I've seen plenty of data that has -10. Same thing for Monday morning. Just depends on some factors that happen. And then the rebound, the warm-up, that's not going to happen. So we'll be in the teens. That is only 21. It's possible. It depends on how much snow we have for Monday with that system. If we have no snow or very little snow, it's possible. Otherwise, teens for Tuesday. And then on Wednesday, we have other Arctic air intrusions coming in on the timing on this. And I have to go back and look at the exact timing. When I looked at some earlier data, it looked like really Thursday was the only day we might get close to freezing. But otherwise, this is never going to happen. And, of course, we wrap back down the deep freeze for Friday and next weekend. So, honestly, I think we won't get above freezing from Friday onward. That's my personal feeling as to how things ought to play out. Okay, so Weather Service highlight that they talked about. This isn't bad. I would adjust a little bit based off that new data that we looked at here for tonight. But they mentioned locally higher amounts possible, up to an inch. And so I can't really argue with that. And the key here is, even though it's a light amount of precipitation, morning travel impacts, because we saw what happened on Monday with just a skip of snow. Can't happen again. We're looking at the cold weather. Here's some tips here for you. Postpone outdoor activities if possible to remain warm and dry indoors. Bring the pets inside. Don't leave them out there. Don't be a turd. Dress in layers. Cover exposed skin. If you must be outdoors, wear mittens instead of gloves, because your fingers get warmer if you have the mittens on instead. Avoid overexertion. That means those kids, when they're out there just trying to build a snowman the best they can, and it's just not working for them, make sure they don't overexert themselves. Follow all directions on using a heat source to stay warm. Carbon monoxide poisoning. Keep flammable items a safe distance away from fireplaces, space heaters. That old stove trick, be careful over there. Let's see, insulate any water lines that run along the exterior walls. Consider letting your faucet strip. The key temperature for that, in my opinion, is about 17 degrees. Once we hit that and colder, you're going to want to drip the faucets, or at least minimum leave your the cabinet doors open to let the heat circulate through. And then for your car, make sure it's winter prepared. Obviously, you need to make sure you're topped off with antifreeze, all your fluids, windshield wiper fluids. Got a blanket in there, a little food, a little rations, some water in case you get stuck or stranded. Because remember, the snow that we do get, whatever that may be, isn't going anywhere. So keep that in mind. It's here to stay for several days, pretty much all of next week. Let's see. Tulsa also put in some highlights here with the big below normal temperature deal. Looks like they put the same type of information here. So the Weather Service basically just kind of repeating the same thing, which is good news. So you make sure that's important. Now, traveling. All right. Let's see. As far as impacts go, let me show you, because we're not the only ones, obviously, getting in on some action. So let me go to day 2. Is that day 2? Yes, day 2 mostly, with a little bit of day 3. So I'll just put the overall day 1 through 3 up here, and we're going to show you. So this, if you're traveling, if you have anywhere to go, up across the upper Midwest, Chicago, so we're looking at Illinois. Let me bring this back down here. You can see the states a little bit better. So yeah, Illinois, Indiana, Michigan, Wisconsin, Iowa, all these folks up here are impacted by the winter storm. And it is for some moderate to major impacts, which means dangerous conditions, to avoid travel if possible, widespread closures for infrastructure, roads. So snow load, which would include maybe some power outages, maybe Chicago, Michigan area, a few spots there. Let's see, blowing snow, that's a moderate impact. Otherwise, looks like just heavy snow is mainly the issue for those folks. And of course, they'll be seeing a lot more snow than we will. Out here in the Northwest, also another area hit hard in this weather pattern for a lot more snow. So there you go. All right, let me think if there's anything else I want to show you. Let's see. I could show you this. Yeah, I'm going to get all into that. Yeah, I think that's good. Okay. So let me take a breather. Let me take a look at some of your comments to see. I know what I need to do. So let me hold that thought. Let me go back. Let me show you something else. Because there's so much stuff I got to remember, right? All right. Because listen, this is the number one question I get. Everybody asks it. Besides, how much someone get at my house? That's the first question. The second question is, hey, I got to travel from A to B. What are the roads going to look like? All right, so let me show you. You go to my website. You click on the weather data tab. Then you go down here. It says, by the way, there's a lot of stuff on here you can take a look at. It's going to be helpful for you. But we'll focus on the multi-state road conditions. So you click on that. By the way, this is also available in my app, AT's Weather to Go. But I'm on my website, which is aarontuttle.com. You will get the snow route for Oklahoma City on here. And then you will get the entire state road conditions. And you will see little pictures, camera icons show up. And you can click on any of these camera icons and you will see how the roads look. And this also map will turn colors to show you which roads are open, closed, delayed, that kind of thing. And the same thing goes for the moving traffic cameras in the city. And you can move this map around and you can get Tulsa on here. I just happen to have it zoomed in right now to Oklahoma City. But you can see traffic moving along nicely here on this bridge. But you can get real-time traffic. I mean, if you see them sitting still or off the side of the road or moving at a snail's pace, you just answer your question as to whether or not you should get out of it, right? But anyway, this continues on up into Kansas. So the Kansas situation there, they've got a lot of problems still, some of these roadways just from the storm of the day. And there's Missouri. Let's see, we've got Colorado on there. We've got Texas on there. We've got Arkansas on there. Let's see. So there you go. So you can take a look at that. That way when you are traveling around, you will have the latest. And it takes just a few seconds to load it up. And that way you don't have to wait for like a news segment to show you or, whoever or wherever you would want to go. It's easy access to your fingertips. So questions, Larry's wanting to know school closures for Friday or next week. So that's a good question. So obviously Monday, Martin Luther King Day, so everything should be closed. Let's see. Michael says, go check out the GFS. You just whetted my appetite, Michael. Let's do that real quick. Let's look at some new data that just came in hot off the presses. Because that's what we like to do, right? But as far as next week goes, yeah, remember, the side roads, neighborhood roads, they're all going to be horrible. Assuming that we get the decent snow, they won't be so good. Now, the crews will clear out the main thoroughfares. They'll work hard over the weekend to make sure that's good. But it's always bad the first 24 hours until they get caught up with the storm system, right? Okay, so let me see here. This is we'll go to first off. Let me look at this. So this is the icon model. Let's go back here to what they did with the upper level low. See that little guy zipping through? Lame. Weak, sheared looking. This is Sunday noon. And so what I mean by sheared, it's like west to east. Now remember, I like to see stuff that comes in like a dip with a nice trough axis with a lot of colors all over it. This is the little west to east deal. This is lame lift in the atmosphere. All right, that zips through. It's tiny. There's Sunday afternoon. And there's a little secondary wave there for follow-up for Monday. And then this guy here in a Monday night. All right, so that's the big long wave trough that'll kick through. Okay, so that's not very impressive. So if that were to be the that's probably explains why the icon had shifted that little snow map to the east a little bit. That jives with that output. Let me look at the Canadian. Let's see what it does. Because remember, right now we're focused on, how much more snow could we possibly see. Man, on Friday, comes out negative tilted here. It's usually a severe weather event when that usually happens. But a lot of lift, though, for the back end on the comma head for some snow for some small people. Small area people, I should say, not small people. All right, let's go to Sunday. All right, so here's that next little system that comes in for noontime. A lot more colors, a lot bigger. So you see that? There's a lot more lift overall. So it's a bigger, stronger system on the Canadian. It doesn't have very much of a dip with it, but at least it's got plenty of lift, at least produce some precipitation. And I'm curious now on the snowfall output. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and look at the comparisons on that. And then here's that secondary wave that kicks in for late Monday into Monday night for another little skip of snow that would come with that. All right, let's go to the American model, which sometimes the laughing stock, and then every now and then it's like a clock. A broken clock. You know what happens to the broken clock? It's right twice a day. So, okay. Or once a day if you're looking at the PM and AM. Twice a day if it's just looking at a number. Anyway, let's go here to Thursday evening. All right, so that's a nice little look to that one. Okay, so that's kind of jives with the rest. All right, no big deal. All right, here we go. All right, it's coming in. Ooh, nice. It's not bad. It's not bad. It's tightly wound, it's compacted. It's right over Oklahoma. And it has a little baby axis with it. So it's not sheared off east-west. It's nice and full. So that's Sunday afternoon. That zips on through. And then here's the Monday morning. And that one kind of misses us all together. It doesn't do much for that second Monday system at all. And then nothing there for a while. Okay, so with that, I believe it takes care of the new 3 runs that came in this evening. So now let's go look at the snow. Let's just go see what that looks like. And we'll see if its snowfall total output, if what the trend is, right? Because remember, all we care about is the trend at this point. I mean, I do care about amounts, but as far as reality goes, we can only do so much. So let's go to Monday. Let's go to Monday afternoon. All right. So that's the GFS. I like it. So it kind of did the split. It split the difference between the icon, which had that look like this, the heavy stuff, and then the Euro basically had a heavy stuff like this. And so the GFS comes in there and just goes, well, I'll just kind of do it like this. So it split the difference. Hey, it's fine. It's whatever. It's all the same. Let's see. Let's do a model trend comparison. Okay, so there's the Euro, if you remember that. Right? There's a GFS, and then there's the icon. So boo on the icon, right? And that's just because of the system, the way it looked in the upper levels. It was weak, sheared, lame. GFS was much better. Still Southwest Oklahoma, you still don't have much hope. And in Euro. So that's a foot of snow out here in eastern Oklahoma. That's impressive. Let's see. Let's go to a 10-to-1 ratio, and then that would, let me see if that picks up anybody else, because this will be wrong, just so you know. But I want to look at it for the UK Met. The UK Met was a lot like the icon. Okay. It's lame. Okay, but remember, we're not going to be at a 10-to-1 ratio. We're at 25-to-1. So these numbers, you'd have to multiply by 2.5. So anyway, that gets us back more toward reality, which would be, if, of course, all this verified, more toward these type of numbers. So there you go. That's a good snowstorm here for Oklahoma. Remember, and this would not go anywhere for days on end. It'd stick with us all week. Now obviously, the roads will eventually work over because I will show you this. Let's do this here. Where am I at? Here we go. Okay. Let's do 4-inch soil temperature. We're in the low 40s. So we have a lot of heat in the ground still to overcome. So there will be a lot of melting initially from the first rounds of snow. And the cold air will also win out. So it will be a battle. But by the time that secondary system gets in here, we should probably be in the mid-30s on these soil temperatures, which would allow that snow to not melt anymore and allow it to stay. And then with the surface temperature being in the teens or single digits at times or even below zero, it's definitely not going to go anywhere. But anyway, just something else I wanted to throw in there. Okay, John's going to head to Eufaula for the weekend. Have fun with that, man. Oh, goodness. So anyway, yeah, thanks for bringing that to my attention that model was in so we could take a look at it. By the way, Terry, thank you for the stars. Marcy, I know a lot of you probably sent them while I was looking at maps and I couldn't give you a shout out, but I always appreciate that. A lot of snow lovers on here, though. It's good to see. I'm not alone. And I know that some of you hate the snow because you have to drive in it and it's a nuisance and it's a mess and there's car accidents. I get all that. I understand. I get it. You know, there's always some negative and some positive. I understand. It's called life. There's a yin and a yang. I got no dog in this fight. I'm just a kid at heart. I just like snow. But no, I don't like to drive in it either. So Tanner wants to know which model is likely to be more correct. Well, that's an open-ended question. To what? The snow, the temperatures. But so I'll answer everything. Nicole wants to know wind speeds. I didn't look at wind speed. We just looked at wind chill. It'll be breezy. I can do wind speeds for you. That's fine. Let's do that real quick. And then I'm going to answer Tanner's question about which model's right and why. All right. So we shall, I'll just pick the Euro. Let's just go out. How far out does this go? Let's see here. So light winds through Thursday afternoon. Then they pick up in the evening hours ahead of the front, but then they really kind of pick up behind the front more than anything. That's when you're really going to notice the wind. And that's a sustained wind up around 20 to 30 miles per hour, which means we'll have some gusts higher than that for Thursday night and Friday morning. And then by Friday afternoon, it dies off, light and variable. And then another little push, see that Arctic air push right here for Saturday. So I could have shown you, remember earlier when I said, can you guess the Arctic front position? I could have just showed you the wind map and you would have picked it out there real easy. But anyway, so there's a nice little gust of wind around 20 to 30 again with that front pushes through. So windy day on Saturday afternoon, then it calms down Saturday night and a Sunday morning. And then we'll probably do a rinse and repeat for Sunday and Monday. Let's take a look. All right, this is all north winds, by the way. Okay, so let's go to, so on Sunday, really wasn't that bad, actually. Winds are pretty light, about 10, 15 miles per hour. And then we'll go to Monday, and still about 10 to 15 miles per hour out of the north. So the strongest winds are from the first two waves, and then that's it. Everything after that's just kind of oozing when it comes to the Arctic air. But what's funny is if you have an air temperature that's around 0 or below, it doesn't matter if you got a 10 mile per hour wind chill, that's enough, man. That's insult to injury, and all of a sudden you got a wind chill of minus 30. It's just stupid how that works. Which I can actually show you that. Let's see. I'll show you. Let's see. Where's my deal? I showed that last night. Let me pull that back up for you. For those folks that didn't see it. Maybe I can find you something else you might like. Winter graphics. Where's my wind chill? Right here. Okay, let's pop this baby up. All right, see that? So we're gonna be in a situation where we will be in this category here with the temperatures from the minus 10 to, up here in the teens and 20s. But when you get down here in these goose egg numbers and you factor in just a little bit of wind, 5 or 10 miles per hour, look at that, you're already at minus 16. You get a 15 mile per hour wind, you're at minus 19. If you have any gusts, you can measure the wind gust, like maybe you get a wind gust of 20 or 25, and you get temperatures down here around a little below zero, you're back around at minus 30. So big difference. That's a huge difference in just a few miles per hour. And that's, of course, is where you get the frostbite problems. So that's a neat little graphic for you that you can look at. Let me see. What else we got for you? I showed. Let's see. Anything in here I want to look at? Yesterday we showed how to dress in layers for the kids. They're on the extreme cold side, so obviously face mask, hat, outer layers, boots, water, gloves, 2 layers on the pants, 3 layers on the top. For the car, let's do that one. For your car, why? Because you never know. You never know, you might find yourself in an emergency. First aid kit, cell phone charger, jumper cables, spare tire. A lot of times, man, new cars don't even come with a tire anymore. They just come with that little blow-up kit. Flares, full tank of gas, sand or kitty litter if you get stuck, blankets, tow rope, snow shovel, brush, flashlight, mittens, hats, boots, warm clothes, blanket, water, snacks, all that kind of stuff you can put in a car. That way, if you were to become stranded or off the side of the road, you'd be all right until help came along. You can expect your wiper blades. Like if you remember, this is all a big run to the store. When you're buying your milk and bread, don't forget to get you some new wiper blades if you need them, if they're all beaten up. Battery, it's tough, man, to start a car when the temperatures get that cold. If your battery is weak, it won't start, just so you know. So I will tell you this, make sure you do not have, you probably Amazon, you get it overnight, next day delivery, Amazon Prime, get you a lithium ion little power pack battery jumper. They're like $100 or cheaper, and it will start your car for you. I use it all the time. I shouldn't say that, but I have like a camera in my car that won't shut off when it's supposed to. I gotta replace it, but it'll drain the battery. So sometimes when I go like on trips for work and I like park at the airport, I come back 4 or 5 days later or 3 days later, that battery be dead, and I gotta use my little jumper to get myself going. It's simple, easy peasy. Anyway, so that's a lifesaver. Plus, it's like a battery pack for your electronics. You can do your laptop on it. You can do your cell phone. So just get you one of those. If you go to Amazon, actually, tell you what, the link in this video in the description is my Amazon store, and I link on my store, I think the one that I use actually, or at least the one I have used in the past. So look at that if you're curious of what in the world that is. You can do that. Let's see. So make sure coolant is full in your car. Make sure it's good, up to date. Emergency kit like we talked about. Obviously your winter tires need to be some gripping strength. So make sure your tires are good. If you're bald, you're in trouble. And obviously you need to make sure you got plenty of engine oil in there and you're not low. Let's see. Anything else I want to talk about real quick? Oh, this is probably important. Provide a warm shelter for your little buddy. Bring him inside. Yeah, you don't want to start your car when it's that cold because sometimes the cats and stuff will be in there. Check your paws. Salt from the sidewalks and frostbite can occur in the pads of the paws, so wipe them with a warm cloth and come inside. If your pet is whining, shivering, anxious, or slows down, it's at risk of hypothermia. So be kind to your little kids. Here's another one for that. Let's see. I like this one too. Keep them warm and dry. Dehydration can happen, believe it or not. I don't think I'd put them outside with this type of weather that we have, but to each their own. But it's kind of a different era when it comes to pets. In the old days, it was fend for yourself, man. It was brutal. The old days are brutal. We've gotten soft in the newer days, but there you go. Do you see any upside potential for Dallas, Cody? No, but let me. I was looking at the European data for the sleet, freezing rain type situation. Let me go down and look real quick for the other models, because believe it or not, the Euro's the only one that had an idea it was even going to happen, other than me, and that's not very helpful, right? So let's see if the other models kind of caught on. So I'm going to go look here real quick. All right. So yeah, the Canadians is on board now, all the way down to almost Houston. This guy through Bryan College Station. So yeah, even a little taste down here near the coast. How about that? And of course it goes east a little bit through northern Louisiana, etc. And now this actually has the edge a little east of Dallas, so it keeps most of Dallas out of the sleet which means it's probably got you guys more in the snow. So I'll look at that here as well. Matter of fact, let's just do a comparison. So we'll go, where are we at? So Tuesday, so F120. All right, we'll click this. We'll do a comparison. All right, so there's the Canadian. There's the American model. See what I'm saying? How the American model is just lame. Half the time, they don't know what's going on. So, but at least it's finally got something. It's just not as robust, but it does keep Dallas-Fort Worth right on the edge. And of course, there's the European, which has Dallas-Fort Worth more in it, but the heavier stuff down south and east. If you blend the models together, which is a very conservative approach, because it takes in those models that don't even know what's going on, and of course that lowers it. With the bullseye over here across eastern Texas in very light amounts, 500. So this will be wrong, but it kind of shows you where at least the bullseye is for where there should be some heavier accumulation. But I would just lean with the Euro at this point in time. And if you're looking at snowfall totals, let's see what happens. So the Euro, like we said, had you guys just under a dusting to maybe an inch or two. The Canadian model, interesting, it has nothing here. I gotta go back. I gotta go look at now something. There's the American model. Keeps the snow just barely on you, north side of town. A few flurries. Same thing with the icon. So really, the Euro is the only one showing you guys having a significant event in Dallas. So the weather guys down there are probably going stir crazy because they don't know what to do. Well, if you don't know what to do, lead with the Euro. It's worse to say nothing's going to happen or to have nothing and then take everybody off guard. It's better to say, looks like we might get a little winter storm with some ice and a little bit of snow. That everybody at least knows something's coming. If it doesn't happen, well, you just got to eat it. But it's better to eat it that way than eat it the other way. In this type of situation. All right, so let me go see what that Canadian was doing. All right. Oh, I see why. Okay. That's fine. So what the Canadian does, it gives you guys all sleet. And then that product, it separates sleet from freezing rain accumulations. So it doesn't count sleet as a ice total. So it doesn't have anything in here for you. Was clearly reality. It got you in the purple. And the purple colors on the map is for sleet. So if I were to click on this for Dallas County, for example, what would it show me? Yeah, a nice little warm nose right here. And then there's your output here. It says sleet. So you guys have a sleet storm, which is basically what the Euro had said earlier, and then it kind of chickened out and did a little bit of freezing drizzle, very, very light freezing rain, and then sleet, and then a little bit of snow. Whereas it looks like Canadian's going to keep you all sleet. So we'll see what the two of them will battle it out, and they'll see which one wins. But they got quite a bit of heavy sleet up here in the Texarkana area, and then freezing rain down here from Bryan College Station to just north of Houston, looks like. So there you go. So, okay, so that goes back to Tanner. I think somebody asked me, I forgot to answer your question about which model's right. So, sorry, man. So, yeah, and for snow. How do I say this? So, models are guidance. They're guidance because they tell you the secrets in the atmosphere of what's happening. Now, it's like poker, and you got a deck of cards. Some of them bluff, and you got to call their bluff. The problem is you have to be smart enough to know which one's bluffing. And with that, you have to recognize the weaknesses that the models usually have, pattern recognition, historical outcomes, and then what you kind of learned in school versus what you've learned in real time, experience. You have to put all that together. It's a complicated, impossible basket of ways to do this for data analysis. That's why each person's different. That's why when you see the forecast, you can watch my forecast, you can watch all three guys on the TV, weather service, and everybody say something different. Well, that's the reason why. Now, for example, when it comes to the cold, I told you a week or two ago, I forgot, whatever it was, we had a sudden stratospheric warming event, SSW, which always translates to an Arctic outbreak. All right, and it translates to a displaced polar vortex, which allows the really cold stuff like Siberian type, North Pole type stuff to come our way. All right, so I knew that. Now the question is, how cold does it get? So you have to lean on guidance, right? Well, because otherwise you're just making up numbers. Well, the models don't know how to cold to make it either. So there's not really great guidance. So when you see forecasts for the extended, you see all these lame temperatures in the 30s. Look, if it's Arctic air, it'll never be in the 30s. That's just stupid. So there's no guidance. So when you're chicken, you wait for guidance to tell you what to do. If you're ballsy, you say, it's Arctic air, man. Come on, it's common sense. It ain't going to be in the 30s. It ain't going to be in the 40s. So process of elimination, you got to work with 20s. The question is, now do you go colder than 20s? Now that's where you start to get, brave. And you say, okay, use my experience, look at temperatures upstream. How cold are they? How cold are they going to be? How cold are they now? Will they moderate? Is there any snowpack that these are going to be going over? See, there's a lot of these little factors you throw in, and then you put out a pretty good guess. And then you just say, okay, how about teens? Teens works for me, and I wouldn't be surprised to see some, temperatures down around 0. So when this first came out, I was going, I like temperatures around 0. I thought it was a safe call, and that was without having any guidance. So, and it turns out that might have been cold enough, because it looks like some of the newer guidance that finally came in, once the models realized what's really coming, what's happening, they're going down to minus 15. Now, is that crazy? Yeah, but is it unheard of? No. A couple of years ago, we had a nice Arctic outbreak, and then the coldest we've seen is minus 31 in 2011. So it does happen in brief periods of time. So it's not a crazy gut call to go brutally cold air. Then you question is how long does it last, right? And you have to look at the pattern for that. And it's pretty cold for a good week. Anyway, so that's kind of how that part of it works. Now, as far as the snow, which model's best for the snow, that's also a mess too, because it's all independent, it's all individual. When you're looking at short term versus long term, if you're going to go long term, I like the Euro for long term. When you go short term, sometimes Euro does pretty good, but in other times it doesn't, and you have to hand it off to better models. Like for the model tonight we looked at, I like the HRR, which is actually a mesoscale model for thunderstorms, severe thunderstorms. But I thought it did well with the lift that was going to happen and develop with the system that came overhead, based off the upper pattern, how it was turning out, like for Friday. So I went with with that output when I could have picked any other output, but I decided to go with that one because I thought it was more accurate what it looks like the result's going to be. And I can pick each one I want, but that's the one I like the best considering what I saw. So to answer your question, any model could be the best one for snow, but in theory, if you only had to pick one and you had to run with it, Euro is still king. 9 times out of 10, it won't lead you too astray. It'll be one of the earliest models to pick up on a change, and it'll be one that's more consistent with it. So the GFS, American, likes to flip-flop all the time. It has this horrible deal where it'll see something first, long term, like we're talking 10 days out, and then it'll lose, it'll hang on to it like day 10, 9, 8 or something, and then it'll lose it day 7, 6, 5, like it never even happened. And then all of a sudden it picks it back up day 4. It's the strangest thing. So that's like a flaw in that model, right? Let's see. The Icon, the German model, I haven't used it a whole lot. I used it last year, I think, for snow totals, just kind of an idea for another outlier model to look at. I thought it did fairly well. We've got more data to work with now here on the U.S. side of it, that the providers are able to get more variables that we can look at. So that's been good. So I've been looking at that lately. And I'll compare it, see how well it does. I thought it had the best grip on the Arctic temperatures first. It actually beat the Euro. And the Euro has finally caught on. And now the Euro is actually, I looked at a couple of outputs, it's actually colder than the Icon. The Icon kind of backed off, said, okay, I got a little carried away. I'm going to back off a little bit. And the Euro goes, what'd you do that for? I'm going full in. And now the Euro's going colder than the Icon. I was like, whoa, that was a switch. Because I was like, come on, Euro, where are you at? So it's almost like a competition, like a race, like horses on the track. You're like, come on, man, get in the game. So that's kind of how that works. So when I'm telling you all this is all like behind the scenes stuff that meteorologists will look at, and they have to all figure out. And you have a dozen models to look at, and then you have all these other things you can look at. So it takes a lot of time to kind of figure all this out, and then you got to condense it into 3 minutes. Good luck with that. It's not possible. Unless you just say, yep, it's going to be cold, and it's going to snow, here's your numbers, and there's your 3 minutes. But you'll do nothing as far as explanation, and everybody's got to take your word for it. You can't prove it. You can't set up a case. It's not like you're standing in front of a jury and a judge and go, this is what I think and why. You can't do any of that. There's no time. Now, for me, with this format, I was able to do it years ago, and it worked really well, but I've noticed over the years, since there's so many content creators now and so many people are doing what I used to do, for the first, and then now everybody's trying to do it. So your attention's drawn too many different ways, and so you don't have as much time to watch everybody, including me, if I were to go on longer than, say, 20 minutes. So I'm aware of that, but on these complicated forecasts, especially when the data comes in at the very last minute, I don't have a choice. I got to sit there and analyze it on the fly, and then we look at it together. So if you're into that kind of stuff, you're at the right place. If you want something that's only 3 minutes long, check my reels when I'll do like a little snapshot of what we did tonight. Sometimes I'll do like a little written deal or post a picture or something on Facebook, on social media. But otherwise, the blog, I'll try to do an entire week at a time to kind of give you an update on the weather for that, the big picture. But some of this stuff, you just have to do it, as it comes in. So, but it's fun. It's challenging. And obviously I'm competitive, so I like to get it right. And it's funny, I posted earlier tonight about Katt Williams. Did you guys see that Katt Williams interview with Shannon Sharp? I was like, I kept seeing stuff in my feed about Katt Williams. Like, what's going on with this thing? And I saw somebody on YouTube talk about it, and I said, I had to watch this interview. It's 2 hours and 46 minutes. I said, I ain't got time for that. I said, well, I'll start it and just see. And I'll put it on like speed 1.5, right? Because you can blow through stuff really fast if you watch stuff on YouTube, or even me, because I'm on YouTube as well. You can blow through it at 1.5 speed. And it was like a 2.5 hour comedy special. I was laughing my butt off. And then all of a sudden I'd be shocked. I'm like, oh! And then he'd get all somber and serious, and then go right back to telling a joke. And it was hilarious. It was the most entertaining interview I think I've ever seen. And a lot of stuff what he said resonated with me because he's competitive. And you have to be competitive if you want to succeed in life. And there's people on here that like the participation trophy ideas and all that stuff. Like, you don't win in life with a non-competitive nature. You don't succeed. These guys are at the top of their game. They didn't get there by being participation trophy people. No, man. They gotta, trash the competition. They can climb to the top. That's the attitude of a warrior, right? To be the master of your craft. So he was no different than that, just in the comedy world. And he studied, and he studied, and he studied, and he worked his butt off to get there. He studied all the greats, So that all resonated with me because it's a climb, This is a complicated science that I'm in. You got to work at it. It doesn't come easy. And then at the time when he sees that, on this interview, he, like I do sometimes, he calls out the frauds. He calls out the lazy. He calls out the cheats and the copycats. And I've done the same thing. Why? Because you work hard for the product that you've built and made and put out there. And for somebody to come along and just take it and pretend it's theirs, oh, hell no. Oh, that ain't going to work. So he came out there to clear the air about a couple of sets that he had stolen from a couple other comedians. And of course they deny it, and then he goes and shows the proof. And I'm like, oh, so, that's a dirty business, man. Everything's dirty. People are dirty. So it was interesting him come out and show a lot of the Hollywood secrets and a lot of the stuff that, stuff we kind of figured was going on, but nobody really talks about. Oh, he let it out. And I'm like, ooh, that's nasty. That's dirty. So there's some stuff back there behind the scenes. You got to sell your soul to the devil, so to speak, to make some progress sometimes. And that we've all kind of known that was probably the deal, but he kind of went ahead and just put it out there. But anyway, so on part of the interview, he had a lot of one-liners that were great, but it was basically the one I like that resonate with a lot of people is winners cannot let losers rewrite history. And we do that a lot these days because they're afraid of offending somebody, they just keep quiet and then just go and let somebody rewrite history when that's not at all what happened. We had the tape because it's social media. We got cameras everywhere. We all know what was said, but we'll just rewrite history and just say it and pretend like it never happened or pretend something else happened, and people sit back and let it happen. I'm like, that's what's messing stuff up. So he was against that. So that's why he came out with his own interview, and that's why he had to come up there and speak up because no. He goes, I'm not going to let you rewrite history. I worked too damn hard for what I've got and for what I've done. I said, so, we're going to talk about the truth. And I was like, oh boy. So yeah, it was it was entertaining. So there is some language in there. So if you're not a Katt Williams fan, it's understandable. He will drop some. He didn't actually, believe it or not, he didn't really speak on the language side. I think it's actually mostly clean. I mean, there's a couple of times. But it was just more the content, just like shocking. And but then the jokes and the way he would just talk. And dude, he's intelligent, man. His IQ, I think, is like 186 or something. He's a genius, but his story of rags to riches kind of a deal, and he's not even rich. It's funny, the jokes he tells, he's like, I got all my wealth on me. I carry it around like this is it. What I got in my pockets is that's what I'm worth. So he tells the jokes like that. It's hilarious. But anyway, I think he's coming to Oklahoma City in February. I saw a thing. I may have to go check it out. But I really hadn't followed his career much. I mean, I saw the movies Friday and Friday After, whatever. And but yeah, after seeing that interview, I'm like, dude, I'm impressed. So anyway, it's not for everybody, but I liked it because I could resonate with the entrepreneurship and working your way up hard for what you have and what you've accomplished, and then trying to keep your morals about at the same time, and not becoming a yes man and not doing things you shouldn't do to get ahead. So all that kind of stuff resonated with me. And then on top of that, he likes to give and help people. And so I was like, please, brother, speak. You and I are like this. So that was kind of neat too. So it ain't gonna be the cleanest interview, but it will be enlightening for those that want to hear it and can take away some of the things that he does say. And so there's some good nuggets in there of wisdom that I recommend if you got some time to kill and you want to watch a good podcast that's entertaining. And Sharp did a good job. He did a lot of. He didn't just wing it. He actually looked deep and researched a lot of stuff so he could ask him some serious questions. And I was surprised. I mean, that goes to show you. When you watch me and you go, okay, well, Aaron, he does weather. Yeah, you're right. But I also do bodybuilding. I also do real estate. So I do a lot of things. And so when I saw Shannon Sharp, I was like, man, football, brother. What are you doing, as a main interview? But the way he did the interview, actually, it worked out really well. And the fact that he did the preparation, I was like, all right, you actually put time and effort into this. It wasn't just a joke show. So I was impressed. So there you go. Daryl, he asked me a good question. About the storm shelter that turns into the bed, so vortex vaults. So unfortunately, no, I haven't worked with them in years. And so basically what happened is, unfortunately, like some companies do, they go under. And that's what happened. They went under. And so there is a company in Kansas that kind of bought the rights to the vortex vaults. And I think they still kind of are sort of in business up there. But otherwise, it's dead. The guy Levi, he doesn't even answer phones, emails. I mean, because he's out, right? He sold it. I'm done. I can't do anything with it, which is bad because anybody that's got one of those beds obviously is going to be in a situation if it breaks down or they need to move it or whatever. So that's what I'm saying. You might contact that company in Kansas. I don't remember their name offhand, but I'm sure if you can Google it, it would be there. But anyway, so it's two backs. It was a great design. It worked well, but not every business succeeds based off of many business decisions, from funding to employees to, I don't know, there's just a lot of things. But anyway, but yeah. So, but there's plenty of storm shelters you can get. They're all, principles is all the same. Provide shelter from you on the outside. The benefits of above ground and below ground. Above ground, it's easier access. If you're disabled, or you have mobility issues, you don't have to worry about stairs. You could get something a stand up one. The problem is it's very loud, so you need some gun range ears, like a headset, to keep the noise out. Because anything that hits that steel box you're in will be very, very loud. But it'll be safe. And then of course the most common one is the garage ones. You go down little stairs, that's fine too. And then outdoors, those are obviously very common. And the price point's higher, right? So the price point is cheapest. I think if you go outside, and it's just basically a tank that they can bury in there. So it's probably the cheapest way to do it. The easiest way: dig a hole, put the tank in, fill the dirt up on top of it. It's not more complicated, more expensive for the shelter in the garage, where they got to cut the concrete, dig it out, do all that kind of stuff. And the standalone should be probably the cheapest, because honestly, it's probably the easiest to install. If it's like in your garage, you just bolt it to the floor and that's it, and you walk away. It's prefabricated, easy to go, and you can get a lot of those, I think, like at Home Depot or various places. So there's different companies out there, but I can't tell you that the storm shelter business itself is very lean. Lean being, it's kind of saturated for Oklahoma, number one, for business side, but number two, the price of materials for the steel, etc., from COVID onward, really, and even probably before even COVID started, it was kind of going up, but it just got out of control. So the price point is very difficult to make a profit in that storm shelter business. So a lot of companies folded and went under, and that was the main reason. The ones that's still there, they run very lean as a result. They kind of lay low during most of the year, with the exception of this, obviously spring and summer, and then they kind of quiet it back down again. But that's, they go to other parts of the country, where tornadoes happen, because again, Oklahoma's kind of saturated with a lot of people that have already had their storm shelters that are going to get them. So it's an interesting field to be in, but it's not one as prosperous as I thought it would be, because I thought it would be an easy course. We got tornadoes. Of course you need storm shelters around here. But in business, that's not the way everything always works. So Daryl, for the Tempest is what you're asking about. So this is the data I put up here on the screen for you. So I've got a promo code. You can use AT's weather, and there's a little QR code you can scan on your phone, and that way you can get one. They're real easy to install. They're all work on your phone. Give you some cool output. A lot of people use them. Very popular. We'll see. I've had mine for 4 years, I think. 3 years or so. 4 years. Obviously, it can't measure snow because that's not what it's for, but it measures everything else. For that, you would have to get a ruler, which is what everybody does anyway, so it's not out of the ordinary. But yeah, you can try it out if you like it. If you don't, it's fine. There's other weather stations you can get. They're a dime a dozen. If you want to get something that's going to hold up, though, for the test of time, the Davis brand, and I have a Vantage Pro 2. So most meteorologists will have a Vantage Pro 2 is what they'll have for a Davis. It's expensive, though. I bought it but wrote it off, the tax, right? Tax break, because it's for business. But it's solid. So if you want to go spend a lot of money, you can get one of those. Otherwise, save you a lot of money. You can get the Tempest. It's easier to work with, and it does fairly well. But so anyway, it's a good question. And then, sorry guys on YouTube, I didn't really check on you guys tonight. Sorry about that. Do you think there's any chance of the Sunday system rapidly bottoming out like 2009? Boy, wouldn't that be nice? There has been no trend that direction yet. And let's see, what are we, Thursday? So Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It's got to start tomorrow. For that to happen, the trend has to begin tomorrow. And I have to see it in the data. So far, I don't see it. But we'll see. Let's see here. By the way, thanks guys on YouTube for checking all your questions. And Carrie Holt, she wanted snow for Broken Arrow. Sent me a tip on YouTube. Awesome, Carrie. So yeah, you guys can get some snow in Broken Arrow. So at least an inch. You might get 2. You're on that threshold there, that cutoff. So I'm hoping for 2. Got my fingers crossed for you. That's for the Friday event. The Monday, Tuesday, you're gonna get buried. You'll have no problem with that snow then. Let's see. But anyways, I do appreciate you guys hanging in, just sitting here chatting with me, and then putting in your comments and where you're from, and liking the video, sharing it with your friends and family and all that kind of stuff, and telling about AT's weather. That all helps. So I do appreciate that. All right, well, I'm going to get out of here because it is way past my bedtime. I get to bed, man. I got to get up early tomorrow morning. So, Candace, no, the snow is Sunday afternoon into early Monday morning, with another round Monday afternoon to like midnight. A little secondary wave, which is really light, just like flurries or light dusting, as it looks right now. And then of course the prior one from that is the Thursday night, Friday morning. All right, that's it for me. It's time to wrap this up. I will do another live probably at lunchtime tomorrow, and then tomorrow evening for sure. And then if you are into real estate, Jody and I will be doing a live broadcast from Team Tuttle Realty around 7 o'clock tomorrow. We're going to talk about the latest in the market conditions, what's happening with interest rates. Is it a good time to buy a home? How long should you wait if you're holding out? All that kind of stuff. So I've been living and breathing real estate for the last year and a half, I think, or 2, or pretty much since I think COVID. So the wife's been in real estate, and I got into it with her so I could help her out, and we could be a team on it and reach a larger audience. And So it's been good. We've had several happy clients. Sean Hunter, hint, hint. You're welcome. So that's good. We like happy clients on the real estate side. Just like I like happy clients on the weather side. So hopefully you guys right on all the forecasts. All right, that's it for me. I'm getting out of here. You guys have a great night, and we will see you tomorrow.